All right then, hello YouTube. We are live. As you can see at the moment, I am here with Adam Smith, or aka Smithy, our Napoli representative. Our Arsenal one is a little bit late at the moment. He is going to join us. Adam, how you doing? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Woody must be trying to make sure Arsenal are sticking around
Let's let
in
me.
this
He's going to be 5 minutes late
project.
on the phone. Yeah, going. Are we still in the Super League? Arsenal, what's going on? So we've got some breaking news if people aren't aware. Chelsea look like they're now going to pull out the Super League. Man City are now rumoured to be following suit. And Manchester United, I've not seen the confirmed reports, but people are saying Manchester United want out as well.
I'm surprised by that one, only because the owners
Yeah,
thought they'd be well behind it. Yeah.
I thought Man United and Liverpool would be there to the end. So it leads on nicely. Adam, what do we think about the Super League? What are your thoughts?
Don't know. It's one of them we've all heard a lot about for a long time, haven't we? But I don't think really feasibly thought would happen, and I'm quite loving the reaction actually since it's been announced on Sunday that I've come across very, very few people who actually think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and that's actually perfect because we've got a person joining us tonight in Woody, who's an Arsenal fan, who wants the Super League to happen. So he's going to join us and he's going to be gutted. This is Arsenal's
I don't know where you
chance.
found it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Arsenal's chance to be in the top league, the Super League. And unfortunately, it looks like it's all coming down crashing like Arsenal season in 48 hours. That's how usually it lasts. It looks like it might not be happening. Yeah, there's been some shocking comments today. What do you think about the president? He says that apparently football, 16 to 24-year-olds don't care about football anymore. It should be less than 90 minutes. Football needs to have more money. They're bankrupt. What are your thoughts about his comments, Perez?
I mean, I'd be interesting to see. I think it would be interesting to see something back it up. It seems anyone with money are able to just make whatever comments they want about other people and suggest that they're aware of that. We've not seen any data, I suppose, backing this up. But it's going to be hard for him to continue along them lines with the backlash there seems to be. Chelsea seem to have had a big following turn up tonight. I wonder if they've got a slightly different chance of their usual one in the games against Abramovich anyway, and asking him to do the right thing might be having an impact. But when you've got this, the president, and I just don't see him doing the same with Real Madrid. You kind of feel like, is he going to try and drag this out to the end, and will we eventually be seeing like a Super League of Real Madrid, Benfica, and Sparta Prague or something?
Yeah, well, of course, yeah, because we're all celebrating. But let's be honest here. If two teams are going to pull out, and let's say those teams are City and Chelsea, they don't have to worry about any financial issues. They are rich.
No.
But, we're all thinking this Super League's going to end now. Liverpool are not going to pull out of this. They've made their feelings very clear. Do we think Daniel Levy wouldn't take this payday? He's not going anywhere. Arsenal, this is their only chance of being a top club again. Yeah. Man United looks like, okay, they're on the fence yet, still not to be confirmed, but they will. Ed Woodward, let's be honest, bit of pressure. He might. But could that be the swing vote? If Man United actually do dig their heels in and say, do you know what? We've got American owners. We're going to go for this. Could it happen? Yeah. Could it still happen with 4 English clubs, or do you think it has to be all 6?
Yeah, it's interesting. You see, there's less teams coming from the other countries. I mean, the fact that there's no teams from Germany is interesting. Dortmund has certainly kind of set their stall out, haven't they, in terms of where they're at. But the financial position, obviously, of maybe the Spanish league and the Italian league is different to that of the Prem. Whether it becomes less of an appealing thing with less teams from the Prem in there for the other nations as well, I'm not sure. But it kind of feels, I don't know, it kind of in some ways feels a difficult one for them to back out of at the moment, or whether people are going to be stubborn. The Italian league, for example, obviously everyone has known the financial problems for a lot of the teams in there for many years. You've got some of the teams maybe who financially aren't as strong as the three traitors who are joining the Super League, or allegedly joining the Super League, just don't have that same financial power. We've all enjoyed that everyone's favourite underdog club, Napoli, the last few years, getting close to Juve, just not quite being able to do it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that because we do have a little bit of breaking news for you that Napoli are rumoured, the same as Benfica, to be asking, okay, listen, if those English clubs don't want those places, we'll take them. Napoli and Benfica are knocking on the door. I mean, your heart is probably telling you one thing, your head's probably telling you another thing, but I'll ask you honestly, if I said to you now, Napoli, and you're a Napoli fan, there's 400 million, go and join the Super League, would you take it, or would you stay loyal to Serie A?
I'd be gutted, if I'm honest. I just think morally it's the wrong thing to do. I can imagine there's maybe some panic in amongst a lot of the teams in Serie A that as much as people I think outside of Juventus are fed up of Juventus. And there's been this certainly with the Milan clubs. There's this kind of sense of they deserve to be in the elite, I mean, AC Milan have bottled it this year. They were ahead for so long, and we look back to it's coming up 10 years since they last won the league, and they've not been close. They've not been close for quite some time. In there. And for them just to automatically believe that this is them, it kind of feels a sense of there's a lot of clubs in there that are just clinging on to some sense of we used to be good. Please keep us in the elite. And I would class, Arsenal as another club in there who just haven't been nowhere near the level of being anywhere near challenging for Champions League, or kind of certainly. Never mind winning the Champions League, but even getting into the Champions League over the last few years.
No, you're right.
The one chance they had at winning the Prem was the year they came third in a 2-horse race to Leicester.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Let's be honest, Arsenal have been struggling for a long time. It was 2013 their last knockout win. And to think you can just pass. I mean, I was hearing Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa saying, in that case, do we get to come on board? But you're right. One thing I would say is what I really liked was Bayern Munich were like, look, we're not doing it, okay? And the reason we're not doing it is because Bayern Munich are an amazing club. You get a season ticket, you get your bus there, you might get a meal at the ground, and they've come out today and said, listen, sort your agent fees out, sort your players' wages. Football, I think I was looking at Napoli a couple of years ago. They got 77 million euros in TV money, which might be a little bit more now. The top 10 teams in the Premier League get about 100 mil, and the other teams get about 80 mil, and that's pounds. Now, in agent fees, I was looking, Chelsea spent 35 million this transfer window alone. Fundamentally tells me football is making a lot of money, but there's a lot of expenditure that you don't need to be giving. Why is it 35 mil?
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's all just people are paying people a lot of money to set meetings up. It's ludicrous, a lot of it really, and it does need to be looked at how it's worked. But the problem is a lot of these clubs that are going into this Super League and whatever, they've all made their money in terms of doing these kind of things. There's a lot of people who, these aren't clubs being run by people who love football.
Oh, that you spot on. Yeah, you're right.
They're just not. I think you will see a lot of teams below there who don't have the same kind of financial stability that a lot of these other clubs do. Panicking and thinking, do we need to be part of this if it's going to happen? Because otherwise we're going to get left behind and the gap's going to become even bigger.
Yeah, it will be ridiculous. Yeah, if the numbers are true, what you're rumoured to be getting I think it's about 400 million every season. And if you win the Champions League, it's about 119. So the difference there is scary. And you're completely right.
Do you think, considering the backlash, if it went ahead, do you think they will be able to pull that revenue in? Or do you think people would universally turn off?
No, I think unfortunately, we all love football, and I think that ultimately what will come down to. I think the reason JP Henry will back it and he's putting all that funding in is because he knows we love football, and it saddens me to say this, but if all the big six teams had left, and the Italian clubs, and let's say the German and French clubs, all right, it's happening, we're going to join it. Unfortunately, I think it would have been. I don't want to say it, but it probably would be a huge TV market. You look at cricket as an example, the IPL in India, they did that. No relegation, no promotion. They love it. Now, obviously, it's amazing that hasn't happened because, unfortunately, the Premier League would have become like the Championship, but with no goal to get into the Super League. But I do believe, and touch wood, this won't happen. If it were to take place, I think it would be a success because you're guaranteeing the viewer, the consumer, a top class match. Now you're not going to play. I've heard a lot of pundits saying, "Oh, but Liverpool versus Real Madrid every season will be boring." Well, no, because you'll have 2 groups of 10, and you play each other once, and so you might not be in the same group for 2 years. I mean, obviously, I hope it doesn't happen, but we love football, and it's giving you sort of pay-per-view games all the time, and there will be varied games in there. And I was looking today, Barcelona are 1 billion in debt, Real Madrid are 900 million in debt. These clubs, they're running themselves to the ground. They've got themselves to blame, but the league clubs have got no money, and hence why they need to push it through. But yeah, back to your question. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? You're the consumer. Let's say Napoli were to join there, because that's close to your heart. They join. Let's say Germany have joined, France have joined. Do you think you'd watch it?
Right now, I want to say no. That I wouldn't be interested in it. I think it's all kind of I certainly wouldn't be wanting to pump money into it.
No.
It's a difficult one, because it's one of them with hindsight where we all look back in 10 years and think, what the hell were we moaning about? Yeah. But I think it's funny, really. It's very much a big team problem. I live in an area where the local team is League Two, and a lot of the fans of that, I think, are looking on at this and thinking, we've been saying it forever, the money's not shared out properly. It's all with the rich clubs at the top, and teams really don't have a chance of being able to catch up, really. And this Super League is kind of a way of just cementing that. It doesn't really matter that, we've got to look at Leicester, arguably have been better than Arsenal for a few years now.
Oh, yeah,
and, you've got West Ham this season as well, looking to finish top 4. And they realistically, it doesn't matter on any progression or stability for them now. They aren't going to be able to progress to what is seen as the top level.
Yeah, that's my worry. Is that my worry is if this was to go through, they're saying that the founder members will never be relegated, which again, there's no integrity in sport at all. But they're saying that there could be a chance for whoever were to win the Premier League, let's say a West Ham were to win the league out of nowhere, they'd go through some sort of playoff system. You're right. The reason we love sport is because there's always an outcome. Like there's a relegation battle. There's always a battle within the league. There's the Europa League. There's the top 4. You very rarely get a very good title race. Very, very rarely. When it happens, obviously it's really special, but it's very rare. But we play for everything else. There's no such thing as a dead rubber in the Premier League, because Sheffield United went to Manchester United and won, right? And they just got relegated to a record, not a record low points, but almost derbies. So that's why we love the Premier League. If you take away sort of, let's say Arsenal lose 5 every week, and they don't get relegated, well, what's the point? What are we gaining from this? What do we learn, and why will we watch it? So it does worry me, sort of as sporting wise. Okay, how does this really? How do we sell this, and how does it work? Yeah. So I don't know.
It'll be interesting how as it stands, the thing is that all the leagues are saying they'll all be suspended if they go to this, and they won't be allowed to remain in the domestic leaes.
Yeah.
Have they got the balls as such to go through with that?
No, it's scaremongering, isn't it? Let's be honest, it's scaremongering, because Boris Johnson won't want to lose them, because the government, the taxes, the Premier League don't want to lose them. Look, Man City's legal team, let's remember that they had a financial fair play, and they should be banned from the Champions League. It was done. And they had the iconic picture. They walked down with their lawyers. They went to court. You try and prove that they can't play international football when they're from that country. I think you have a very, very hard case to say, no, Zlatan Ibrahimovic can't play for Sweden because they've left our league. I think they would say, no, he's Swedish and he can. That's where we're very lucky. Fans like tonight, Chelsea, and that's why we need this not to happen, because, what is it? If this happens, the Premier League, it's not. It goes. It will have no TV money. It will be, how do you sell it? It will completely go. The 6 huge global clubs, it's not a product anymore. It's not worth investing in. And it is scary to think all of a sudden. And also it shows you, doesn't it, how lucky we are. Because we also had 6 teams, and you think, like, I don't know if you know this, I'm a Brighton fan, as of course we know this. And 6 to 12 times a year, we're playing those clubs. And when you're playing like we are tonight, playing Chelsea away, we're playing Champions League semi-finalists, and we're probably going to win 3-0, right? No, but it's good. We've built a product in the Premier League, which is the reason we make so much money, which obviously it comes down to these greedy owners, is because the package is so good. But it's tough one.
Yeah. Well, on that Chelsea match you mentioned to me before, Chelsea potentially rested a few players. Do you reckon that's rested, or do you reckon there's some players there who aren't happy?
Yeah, there'll be players that aren't happy, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, but it goes down to there'll be players that aren't happy, but are they going to really voice it? Unless you're a big player and you're undroppable, Kevin De Bruyne comes out, or
he has come out, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I mean. A Rashford come out. You've had Rashford come out.
Luke Shaw did as well.
Yeah, Harry Maguire apparently was like, that's out of order. But unless you're a big name, are you really going to risk it? And also, it sounds bad, but if you're a player, I know it sounds bad, but you might suddenly get triple the wages. And we know how footballers think, unfortunately. They're 22, 23, 24-year-olds getting a lot of money. And if I said to you now, your job, okay, Adam, you're on 40K, but in a year, we'll triple that. You might be like, hang on a minute. Do you know what I mean? But I would hope they would do that.
I get it. I think it's interesting. I think the benefit that a lot of these players will have is that at the moment, and there's no kind of inkling of what potentially it's going to do financially for other teams. But if you have players in these bigger teams, particularly that I'd say the bigger of the bigger teams, maybe discounting, sorry, Arsenal and Spurs fans there, but other teams are going to say, well, they can come, whether there's going to be, wage reductions or something or whatever. But that will be the challenge, and it'll be interesting to see which players. Are you going to get the likes of the players who go off to the Chinese Super League?
Yeah, maybe.
Although they've often, we're yet to see we've not seen a superstar go there, have we? Someone at the peak of their game.
Only Oscar, and I would say he wasn't really a superstar. And he changed a bit of potential at his age, but they changed the law there. But I suppose the worrying thing would be is the Super League would probably, let's say it went well, they'd probably be a Super League 2, wouldn't there? Or your Leicesters, your West Hams, and then what happens then? Do another 6 Premier League teams go, and then all of a sudden it's an absolute minefield. And that's what would happen. Basically, the Super League probably would be like, right, West Ham, Leicester's. Right, you're not going to get 500 mil. There's 250 mil every season because we're now going to have a Division 2. Oh, and we're going to add maybe one relegation, or there'll be something along those lines, and it completely takes over. And then it becomes unmanageable. And I suppose it becomes who's governing that, right? Because with everything we have at the moment, it's governed. Not always the best, but there's a set of rules and regulations. And I wouldn't trust Florentino Perez as far as throwing. I mean, all he thinks about is his pocket.
He's not the only one in that bunch, is he? To be fair,
let's be honest, they all are. To get to the way you are. I mean, I can't think of one owner. Look at Levy. Look at the Cronkies. Look at Liverpool. Look after pennies. That sort of thing. It's a bad state of affairs, isn't it? And that's why I really hope this is. I just hope this is sorted. And actually, it's been amazing. It's sort of been empowering actually a little bit how this year's been crazy. Yeah, you try and ruin a game that people love so much, and you get Corbyn and Johnson, political things all coming together. Yeah, we've never been able to do that. Yeah, a game of football, you cannot ruin our football, and suddenly everyone's united. And actually, if there's one thing you're going to take from this, I know you feel about it, but I've actually been amazed by people's reactions and the amount of love and joy that people obviously get from the game that you just don't realise, and how important it is to people, right? Like, this is a sport that it brings people together, and it shows that money's ruining this game, and they can't do that. And I think it's really nice to see, and no, this is our game, and you're not going to do anything about it.
I think it'd be quite nice if this actually hurt them in their pockets a little bit. I suppose the worry for some of them is Real Madrid and Barcelona, they can't really take being hurt in the pocket at the moment.
No,
but you know what, Rob, other clubs have been there. Look at Leeds, who spent their way into trouble in the past, and have taken a long time to build back up to getting back to the Premier League. There's a lot of teams who've had to do that, but then there seems to be this kind of class of teams, teams maybe that have had big names for a long time, who just seem to think that they are entitled to to be there and don't have to do the work of the rest of them, really.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird because you say right, entitled. It's so strange because how can a club be in 1 billion debt or 900 million debt and still be functioning? That's what I don't understand. It doesn't make sense, does it?
I don't have a financial enough brain or savvy enough to understand them processes or whatever, but it seems ridiculous when you've got teams who kind of scrape by on what they've got and kind of manage to survive and whatever, and aren't in that level of debt and would never be able to imagine being like, oh, Real Madrid are just sorting their stadium, aren't they? And you're thinking,
training ground,
they'll be panicking if this doesn't go through, because I suppose they're probably thinking at this point it's the only way of paying off their debts. It's been in I just believe it's been in the works for such a long time. This.
Oh yeah, I agree. Oh yeah, this is nothing new. But the thing is, though, is that I'm so against the Super League. But like I said earlier, and I mentioned this yesterday, tuning yesterday, the Champions League for me needs a revamp. And I'm not saying what they've done is so sneaky, it's behind everyone's back, and I would never agree what they've done. But I would say they've seen a gap in the market, and they've seen that it's been stale for a while. I would say the Champions League, a lot of the games aren't interesting. I mean, and so what they've done is they've seen it, but it just doesn't feel right. The timing, we're in pandemic. There's no money. People are losing their jobs, and it's a tough one. It's a tough swallow. It's something to swallow. And what I was going to say earlier, actually, it was eluded me, was that we were talking. You were saying, in 10 years' time, we look back at this. Well, of course, the Premier League started in 1992, and suddenly Sky became involved, and they took all the TV rights. And look what happened to the Premier League. Mm-hmm. It became to what it is today, isn't it? So I was going to say, going back to your point there, I think I wouldn't be surprised if we do look back and think, okay, wow, look what's happened. But I really hope that doesn't happen. It better not happen. Otherwise, better get a new sport.
You won't be. There's no way you'd be able to handle that, mate.
No, I don't know what I would do. I'd have to start again. Get a conference team. I don't know what I'd do, because for me, being a Brighton fan, if the top six aren't in there, that's not a Premier League for me. There'd be no joy in Wolverhampton winning the Premier League.
Well, you've been most of the time, Brighton. You've been supporting them. They've not been in the Prem, so you're used to that kind of.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, no, that's why it's been so nice. Like, we've actually got to the Prem, never been relegated yet, touch wood, and suddenly now they're going to get rid of the teams. We start beating a few of them. You can't get rid of them. I honestly don't think that's going to happen. I don't think.
I don't know. Not with these going out today. It was interesting. I saw a Carragher. Carragher had made a statement saying he was resigned to the fact it was definitely going to happen. But then, having seen a lot of the reaction from a lot of the clubs, some of the players speaking out, and that he then grew in confidence. I think it was seeing players speaking out at the Leeds and Liverpool game yesterday, and that he then felt actually this hasn't got legs.
No, and
how it'll be interesting seeing how long some of them hold out. Really.
Yeah, no, I agree. But you said, but a lot of praise has to go on to Gary Neville. If Gary Neville didn't do what he did live on TV and had that really passionate rant, that could go circulate around Twitter, where a lot of football fans are, and it picked up momentum. And if he didn't do that, it's scary how much power he actually has and how well liked he is. But if he let's say he was pro Super League, I do worry about, would this have happened? Would we have had enough momentum? Because fans have picked up on it. Jamie Carragher, Monday Night Football was electric yesterday. It was like everyone this can't be done. This has to be stopped. But why is it up to Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher to be fighting? Do you know what I mean? If it wasn't for those two, which sounds crazy, because they're so passionate about Manchester United and Liverpool, they've sort of made the rest do it. I mean, there's not many footballers that are talk of the term, because you can't risk it.
Yeah.
So
it's in, because I suppose we don't know what's in their contracts and what they're allowed to. Marcus Rashford's put very little up, but something, and Luke Shaw's is worded, and he's even written in his that he's worded it in a way that he thinks he's able to. kind of thing.
And that'll be legal advice. There'll be someone sitting there with him. He might not have even written it, to be honest with you. A lot of them now have something in their social media, so it might be like he might have to have legal advice to even put this out, because it's such a touchy situation and contracts. It is scary. I think Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola today taking questions when Man City didn't want him to take questions on it. I've not, again though, I mean, I can't imagine many players would do this, but I've not heard anyone come out and back it and be like, you know what, this would be great.
Have you seen anyone?
No,
like, genuinely,
hoping to get Woody on tonight, our Arsenal fan, but looks like he's thought, forget this.
He must have been attacked by a mob on the way in or something.
Yeah, I reckon he's got the phone call from Kroenke saying, cancel that, cancel it. Looks like we're not going to the Super League. You have a quiet night in. Yeah, I literally don't know anyone. I see parts of it that I think work really well, but I don't know anyone that could feasibly back this when it's so greedy. I mean, I've never been so addicted to my phone these last like day, 2 days. Just Scott, it's just I've never seen so much drama in the football, but I've never seen so many people unite either. That's been really nice actually. It's been nice to not have football fans go at each other just to be like a common goal, like, and everyone wants the top 6 to lose. So I think quite funny as well. And everyone just wants football to be to what it should be. And I really hope this changes attitudes as well. Make things cheaper, make it more for the public, and remember you're making a lot of money as it is. Yeah. You know, and maybe one passing comment. Do you think maybe this will maybe change the way football clubs sell to owners? Do you think maybe we football clubs could get their clubs back? You don't have many. For example, the Brighton owner Tony Bloom is a Brighton fan. He made his money on the poker tables, believe it or not. Yeah. But do you think that this could be a chance for Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, Manchester United fans to get their club back? Or do you think?
I think it's the problem is the people who you know own some of the bigger clubs now. That it's all about their investment, isn't it? And seeing the return on that. The Premier League are meant to be vetting people buying clubs anyway, aren't they? And I think this is probably evidence that hasn't been the most successful process.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, a lot of these clubs. I mean, you've seen clubs really protesting when owners have come in, and it's been seen to be for financial gain and whatever, and nothing really ever comes of that. Interesting looking at clubs outside of there as well, and look at all the challenges that say like Newcastle fans have had, seeing their club almost bought and not sure who, and whether, you know, the Super League just gives other people with a lot of money ideas of let's invest in a club and get them into the Super League, and that's all, you know, the only aim that they want. And it takes football's less reachable for the masses then, isn't it? It's not something that people could afford to go to, or if it's all the big games, you worry it just becomes corporate events.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely hit it nail on the head. You're so right, because, you know, let's say you bought West Ham tomorrow and you're promised a reserve Super League or something. Of course, you're then going to go from making 100 million a year, a little bit less, to suddenly, you know, 400, 300 mil becomes very, very, and it becomes a business. You're right, and then you lose that whole core value, don't you? And the Newcastle one's interesting because it seems it's the only time they've actually vetted someone and decided that he can't actually buy the club. They've appealed his decision. I mean, being a Newcastle fan at the moment must be the worst. I can't imagine being a Newcastle fan, actually. It would really upset me. You got Mike Ashley's not the most hated chairman in the league now. He's gone for the worst, the 7th. He must be sitting there being like, this is brilliant, I'm back. He must walk down Newcastle with the Conor McGregor strut and be like, I'm back. But yeah, it's I really, really, really hope that this is a turning point in football, and this is a bit of a wake-up call. Actually, these big clubs, they can't be trusted. All 6 of them were so quick to be like, no, forget you. You know, you've made us all this money. And Liverpool owners, they've made like 5 times their money already. So it feels so underhand, doesn't it? It's it's all been happening behind the others, and there's been little bits leaked every now and then in the end it's just no, this is happening, we're doing this, we've all signed up. And it's interesting that within 48 hours there's already 2 or potentially 3 teams pulling out, or trying to pull out. You know, according to Perez, that's not an option, and they've signed binding contracts. That'll be interesting, the fallout from that as well. Well, we've got a comment here actually. Have you heard Tottenham can't afford to leave the Super League? So that's what someone put here. Amber's put production. So that would be interesting if Tottenham have got a binding contract where they've said, right, if you want to get out, it might cost them 50 million.
This is how he's saving Real Madrid. Just knew he'd get loads of money back from
imagine
out of this.
But imagine that could be a really good comment. It could be, okay, you sign this contract, but it's going to cost you 100 million to get out the contract. Now for City and Chelsea, it's well, that was stupid. It's 100 million, which sounds crazy. I'm saying this, but 100 million is 100 million. Daniel Levy, 100 million. That's Harry Kane in the summer. He'd be like, what have I done? So that's a really good comment. If that's true, then Tottenham could be the only team left. Tottenham Real Madrid every week.
They'll win something.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Tottenham Real, they just come there. I don't think they'll ever win something. Strange sacking as well. Really weird sacking of Jose Mourinho. We discussed that yesterday, 6 days before a cup final. I would suggest there's something in his contract that said if you win a trophy, you get an extension or you get a payout, because I don't get the timing at all. I don't know.
There was links, wasn't there, or rumours that he was refusing to take the team into training or something, or.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that. I don't know. It always seems a bit fishy, doesn't it? It seems like there's obviously been a bit of a fallout. I don't know. It doesn't seem quite right. I mean, it's been coming. But then we all know Daniel Levy. You know, he does. I mean, I'd be the worst person to go out with, wouldn't he? He would never buy you a beer. It'd be like, you're gonna have half a beer. But he's had to pay Jose Mourinho £30 million.
I've seen that. Have you seen how much Mourinho? I know this isn't Super League stuff, but Mourinho, the money he's made from sackings is madness. Yeah,
but that's why that comment is really interesting, because suddenly Tottenham lose 30 million to Mourinho going.
Yeah.
Or they're saving his wages. They paid that out, and then of course now if they've got to pay to get out the Super League, they're going to be hated, aren't they?
I think it's going to be really hard for any of these clubs to bring top level players in, even if they're splashing the cash, because there's a lot of players who, you know, will be having to think as well around the longer term prospects and you know, are they going to lose a lot commercially from people as well? It's interesting. I saw. Did you see Grimsby Town have offered shirt swaps for any of these the 6 Super Cup? I think they've done a good marketing job there.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, I don't imagine it's going to cost them, because I can imagine them getting inundated with United, Chelsea, whoever top. But I was going to say to you as well, I don't know about you, but in Serie A, you obviously have VAR, don't you? Of course you do.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel about this, but this season is the first season where I'm never going to say I've fallen out of love with football, but I've been tested. VAR now is really testing my patience.
Yeah.
Now we have VAR. Suddenly with this, do you think we're going to lose people? Do you think football is going to take a bit of a hit as fans wise?
I think VAR has tested a lot of people. I don't think it has put. I think at the same time people like to have something to moan about. Before VAR, it was just that the refs were rubbish and making the wrong shouts. So now it's just that instead it's another ref in another room somewhere making the wrong call.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit pedantic on the offside rule. If their fingernail is offside, they are offside.
Yeah, no, I get it.
There's no grey area. You're offside. You're either onside or not.
No, I get it. I think you're so right. I think it's right. You're off. But what I find hard is either they do the lines. Sorry, when they've already kicked the ball. You can see the move. That's my favourite one. Or the other day, the West Brom had a goal, but the camera's in the wrong angles. They couldn't officially give the goal, and it didn't matter if they won 3-0. But
that's what they should do in the Super League, is just say, well, I tell you what, we won't have VAR, and everyone will support it.
If they suddenly did not have VAR, you'd suddenly watch everyone go, hang on a minute, you know, oh, what, no VAR? Hang on a minute. Yeah, we'll take that. Everyone would jump and we'll go. And that's the problem for me, is that if you're a young football fan, or you're someone that we're getting into football, or you're trying to promote football, you look at it, and if this is your first season, would you be falling in love with the game this year? I really worry that the rules that have been set. I mean, some referees used to play football, and I've done my refereeing course. I'm a qualified referee, but luckily, obviously, I've played football as well. But whoever are making these laws are doing a horrible job, because they're not common sense. So that handball rule to start with, I mean, that was horrendous. The offside, not the feet. There's so many things, and I just worry that we're going to lose a real generation here of just people.
Well, in this new league, they're going to change the rules anyway. The shorter matches I've seen as well, isn't it? 90 minutes is too long.
Yeah. Well, do you know
Kids
what?
aren't interested.
Yeah. Do you know what? I would actually. I've always thought this. I would change football to 80 minutes, but when the ball goes out of play, the clock stops. And
So
it
like,
would, yeah, well, yeah, only because I said it, because teams are so good at time wasting now.
oh
Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
it's become an art? You watch
Well,
Burnley.
yeah, it is. You know, and even fans are like, "Why aren't you time wasting?"
Yeah,
now,
you're right.
when it gets to
I
that
was
point in the
thinking,
game.
wait, who was it? I think I could hear Harry Maguire in the background saying, "Stay down, stay down." And I
Yeah.
was like, "God, you guys have actually got really good at time wasting." I was like, "Do you know what? But you've got to do what you've got to do to win. Football is, but and that's why if you stop the clock, that couldn't happen, right? That would be like, well, that would speed the game up no end if you had that. Because now you can see the free kick or a corner, it's 30 seconds every time. They're so good at it. It's crazy. Adam, I could speak for hours about this. I love, I'm sure you're the same, we talk about football. Obviously, Woody has let us down royally, the Arsenal fan. He bottled it, got the call from Kroenke. He said to him, look, we're not going anymore. Or he's thought, I don't want the abuse from any fans at all. And he absolutely bottled. But Adam, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you enjoyed it. How was that your first one?
Yeah, interesting. Hopefully, we can be talking about Napoli progressing in the league and picking up a bit next time. It's been a difficult couple of seasons now.
Yeah, it has been tough, isn't it? I think knowing you as well, I know you. Napoli were probably one of the best teams to watch in Europe. Actually, I would say quite comfortably a couple of years ago. You were on fire. You were very unlucky because you played Man City in a knockout game. Obviously, you played Man City and so in the group stage. But you were incredible, and I think a few wrong signings. Players getting older. It's quite hard to replace Mertens and Senior. But I think you boys will be back up there soon for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully back up there soon. I hope so. I know it's tough to other players, but I was going to say, I'm going to be doing these all week. Hopefully, going to get people booked on. Obviously, love to get you back on again, and hopefully we can talk about Napoli smashing Juventus 5-0 or something more positive. And if you're up for it, we're doing it again. And thank you so much. Yeah, have a lovely week.
Cheers, Tom.
And we'll see you soon. Take care, buddy.
Bye.
Cheers, everyone watching.